Well, it's time for our Monday morning quarterbacks, and for today's panel, we want to bring in strategist Janiyah Thomas and strategist Anthony Davis Jr. representing both sides. It's good to see both of you this morning for the first time in probably 4 or 5 weeks now of doing this. We can actually say that there could be an end in sight to the government shutdown, so that's some good news. Anthony, I want to start with you on this one, though, because there is a bit of a rift in the Democratic Party when it comes to the shutdown. So you could talk about that, but first of all, do you think good idea, bad idea to be where we are now with the agreement reached last night by the Senate?
Well, I think it's hard to say that this is a good idea for the Democratic Party to have agreed to this, to ending the shutdown last night. I think that one, it happened in the middle of the night on Sunday night when voters, Americans, are not paying attention when they're worrying about preparing for their next week, worrying about how are they going to put food on or having dinner that night, and how are they going to make sure to take care of their children for their following week? And so, one, this deal happened in the middle of the night when Americans weren't aware, and right now this bill doesn't put us in a better place than we were 40 days ago when this government shutdown started. We don't have a better securities for healthcare, and which was the main fight the Democrats put forward. And so right now it looks like a failure on the part of the Democrats.
Janiyah, good morning, first of all. Second of all, do you think this gets through the House the way that it was passed by the Senate with the amendments that would have to be made for House passage? And if so, is it a win for the White House?
Yes, I think it's absolutely a win for the Trump administration and the White House. I applaud the Democrats that are willing to serve their constituents versus playing party politics. I think it's very important that we keep in mind that, these elected officials are here to serve the people, not play games because they, have Trump derangement syndrome. So I think any movement towards ending the shutdown is good for the American people.
Anthony, I'm curious as to what happens now within the party. And like you mentioned, your view on this is one that's shared by a number of people in the Democratic Party, but there's also Democrats who feel otherwise. Is it a serious rift? Is it just something that can be worked through? What's your take on kind of where things stand based on this decision over the weekend?
Well, I think the party right now, as you said, is at a decision point right now, which leadership we want to follow. There's going to be a rift that comes from this shutdown. I think that when you think about millions of Americans who are going to be kicked off of their health care, and then 20 million Americans are going to have their premiums increased, this is going to cause a lasting effect within the Democratic Party. Democrats just delivered a big victory on Tuesday, and they just redid all of that work, all the favor that they got with voters on Tuesday by passing the shutdown in.
Janiyah, you've been a master of messaging through campaigns and otherwise. Not counting what happened last night, but based on the results of last week's elections, do Republicans change anything moving forward now as you look forward to midterms?
I think, we've been, obviously doing a lot of infighting, especially on the internet within the party. But I think it's important for us to remember that regardless of, whether you're a MAGA Republican, establishment Republican, at the end of the day, the R is what's on the ballot. So I think going forward into 2026 and going forward into 2028, we need to keep that in mind and remind each other we're all playing on the same team. But I think as far as messaging, I think we do have a cohesive message. And I think all of us are willing to follow, the president's leadership going forward into 2026. And 28.
So let's talk real quick about 2028 while we have you for the last minute or so. Janiyah, I'll start with you first of all. President Trump obviously, has thrown out that J.D. Vance is the front runner on a potential ticket for 2028 for president. We've heard Marco Rubio's name thrown out there. Some say President Trump should try to find a way to stay on the ticket. What are your thoughts for 2028?
I think that, obviously Vice President Vance is an amazing choice, and Senator Marco Rubio is as well. But I think at the same time, like I said before, we need to focus on 2026 versus focusing on 2028. We need to focus less on individual, candidates and focus on the party as a whole winning into 2026 and maintaining our leadership.
And Anthony, based on what you just said about where the party is right now, does anybody stand out for 2028, or are we still way too early to find some front runners?
Are you saying on the Democratic side? Sorry.
For the presidential race in 2028 for Democrats, who do you think rises to the top right now?
Right now, I think that the Democrats need to get through 2026 and honestly get through the next few days before we start to turn our focus to 2028. There is no emerging leader, which is a good thing for the party right now. I think the party is in a place where we need to focus on a unified message rather than a unified leader. And right now, 2026, I think we need to allow that to play out in terms of a chance to find out who our leader will be in 2028.
More immediately, 11 a.m. Senate vote today to try to get the next step to end the shutdown. Janai Thomas, Anthony Davis Jr., thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, see you again.